front, your series leader.
I got Ron Dennis's phone number. I can find him in 9 years, and I'll get to find him. And he might give me a free drive in McLaren.
Our relationship was very much positioned as father and son, surrogate father and son, and I don't think Anthony would have ever been uncomfortable with that.
The story of how Lewis Hamilton got into Formula One and rose to the top is a story that should be used to inspire every single child on the planet.
Coming from a black background, looking at a sport that's been pretty much exclusively white for the whole of its 70 years, and thinking, this is what I want to do.
Lewis Hamilton grew up in a council house in Stevenage, had a normal life, but had an exceptional talent.
A very, very convincing win indeed. The checkered flag is waved at Lewis Hamilton.
I clearly remember following Lewis Hamilton at Brands Hatch, and it was probably the only time in my entire junior Formula career that I saw another driver and I thought, I can't do what he does.
And here we go, up the inside. Piquet tries to resist. No way, Jose. Hamilton's through.
They took a risk promoting him from GP2 into Formula One.
I've watched this story unfold, and it's been phenomenal.
Lewis Hamilton is the world champion.
Just need to sit down, give him a minute.
To get to the top, you need to have fought all the way.
He's blisteringly quick, and he never gives up.
Three times world champion, Lewis. That's the greatest moment of my life.
He's relentless.
Nicky Lewis, 4-time, thank you.
7-time champion of the world.
One thing is winning a couple of times, but there's a difference to winning 7 times.
To be going for an 8 and not having that desire dimmed, not having the speed bled off in any way, is just incredible.
Don't listen to anybody that tells you you can't achieve something extremely impossible. Speak it into existence, and you've got to work for it, you've got to chase it, and you've got to never give up. Never doubt yourself.
A massive moment in the context of the championship today. Yesterday, Lewis was quickest in qualifying in the last 90 minutes. He's been disqualified from qualifying for a breach of technical regulations with regard to the rear wing. It means he'll start today's sprint from the back of the grid and still carries a 5-place grid penalty into tomorrow's race. Max Verstappen was also in front of the stewards for breaching the sporting code for touching an opponent's car under parc fermé conditions. He's escaped any grid penalty, but does receive a €50,000 fine.
It was clear the championship is lost, because it's not only about the points you're going to lose in the sprint race, but it's also about starting the main Grand Prix in the midfield at best. So at that stage, we've written off the championship, and Lewis actually said to me, let's make sure we win the Constructor Championship at least.
I mean, let's face it, Hamilton's had some races where he's just been unbeatable, but Brazil this year was something different. I think Lewis's performance in Brazil was one of those ones that we see from him maybe once or twice a season.
When you have a tough weekend or qualifying, sometimes that does fuel you. And you get this extra boost of energy, and it's exciting fighting your way through the field.
Completely controlled, completely relentless, but unstoppable.
That is a mega sprint drive from Lewis Hamilton to come home in 5th place.
Lewis, brilliant job. Damage limitation. Them all.
Copy. It's not over yet.
Brazil was the moment when Max and Red Bull realised that Mercedes had very much returned to form.
Hamilton had to take a further 5-place engine penalty, so despite finishing 5th in the sprint, he actually started 10th in the race. But once again, he was just unstoppable.
Hamilton doesn't respond to negativity the same way a lot of us do, or most of us do. It drives him in a way that I've just never seen in any other sportsman.
There goes Lewis Hamilton on Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton in 1 lap from 10th is up to 6th.
Some of the moves that he made into turn 1 were pretty special.
Pulls over to the inside. Sainz isn't going to fight that one.
Safety car.
A lot of shots at the end of that plays beautifully into Hamilton's hands.
The safety car's in this lap, but Hamilton's looking pretty ominous out there, but we've got to get our heads down, get into the race and do the best restart we can.
Verstappen hasn't gone yet, but he's gone now, and Sergio Perez follows him, and Valtteri Bottas gets into the slipstream of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton to the slipstream of Perez. Big lock up there as they go through turn one. Verstappen's got the job done, and he's got the job done very well. Which way is Lewis Hamilton going to go? To the left, to the right? It's going to be to the right. It's going to be round the outsides. The crowd cheer as Lewis Hamilton passes Sergio Perez. 2.6 seconds, the gap between Verstappen and Hamilton.
In the end, Max did the only thing he could do. That was to try and professional foul him, really.
Here goes Lewis Hamilton. He was last at the start of the sprint. He's trying to take the lead from Verstappen, but he is forced wide by Verstappen, and Verstappen himself has to go off the track. No investigation necessary, say the FIA.
Hamilton with a much better exit down to turn 4.
Hamilton pulls ahead of Verstappen before they get to the corner. The crowd go absolutely wild. What a drive this has been from Lewis Hamilton this weekend.
Yes! Come on, guys! Let's keep going, let's keep pushing. Great points, team.
He had just destroyed his opponents in that race, borderline humiliated them.
I don't remember another weekend like this. I feel great in my body, I feel great mentally, and I think the fans really made a huge difference this weekend.
You could see by the reaction of the fans, he had 150,000 people cheering for him, and he was called Padron after the race, the boss.
I'm sure that was probably the most enjoyable race for Lewis this year, and probably ever. You know, coming through and winning the race from the back, it's very special.
You did wonder if that was the moment the tide was starting to turn, and if that was when Lewis Hamilton said, I've had enough of this. This is my championship.
How would you describe your relationship with Christian?
The Christian Horner-Toto Wolff relationship has been a fascinating one to witness.
There is no relationship.
Let's be honest. Toto and Christian don't like each other.
Christian is a bit of a windbag who wants to be on camera.
I don't need to go to dinner with Toto, you know, I don't need to kiss his or anything like that.
Sometimes he oversteps the marks with the vocabulary he chooses, pretty rough. But I've learned to ignore that.
Am I going to be spending Christmas with Toto? You know, probably not, unless you're in Panto this year. I might take the kids, but...
Got a kind of uncomfortable feeling that they were putting stuff on for our entertainment, but there was also an element of, you know, what seemed to me to be genuine personal attacks on each other.
Just a quick word between the pair there.
All season long, there'd been a technical battleground. Early in the season, Mercedes had complained about Red Bull's limbo wings, their rear wing backing off at speed.
It's clear that the rear wing bends more than it should.
If I was Toto with the front wing he's got on his car, I'd keep my mouth shut.
Let me just get in between the two of you in the meantime. Just to keep it safe here.
And to get back at them, Red Bull then complained about Mercedes' rear wing.
How do you explain the score marks on the rear wing end plate?
I think it's within what is allowed.
Everything they say isn't really for our benefit at all. As entertaining as it is to watch, it's because someone is always listening from the governing body and making sure that what's being said, those accusations that are being made, aren't actually true.
They've obviously found a clever solution with their rear wing. The question is it legal?
He's a competitor, he's the enemy on track, and we have not tapped anything outside of the professional relationship, and I don't think we need to.
Does Toto annoy you?
No, I think I annoy him quite a bit more than he gets on my nose.
You'd be disappointed if Christian and Toto were friends, wouldn't you? They played their part in trying to destabilise the other team.
You know, it was interesting to hear Toto's views after the sprint race last week.
Lewis, brilliant job. Damage limitation. Them all. We are in the ring there, trying to do the best job possible. Elbows are allowed now because the rules say so. And gloves are off.
Lewis Hamilton on pole. Max Verstappen, who thought he was on the front row, gets a 5-place grid penalty for ignoring those double yellow flags, and for the 7th time in his career, now starts 7th.
I think it's just a rogue marshal that's stuck a flag out. He's not been instructed to by the FIA. They've got to have control of their marshals.
Remember how, from Monaco to Silverstone, the momentum was with Red Bull and Max Verstappen? It all changed.
Hamilton on top in Qatar. Max Verstappen, though, limiting the damage, started 7th, will come home to finish 2nd.
I love the close battle and the pressure and the demands it puts on you and the whole team. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but these next 2 races, we'll be bringing our AAA game.
Brazil, Qatar. He needed 2 more to go and win the World Championship.